There's a giant gap between his teleprompter and his tweets. The true state of the union under Trump is one of division, an endangered democracy, and chaos. It's really up to the American people to respond this year, to take all the energy that they've expressed in the protest and put them into this election and throw the rascals out. You know, with Trump, he's the greatest of everything. He takes credit for things other people did. He brags of job creation, and yet he has the worst record of new jobs created that we've experienced in this decade.
It was an aspirational speech. I think in terms of immigration reform, I was encouraged about his desire to find a bipartisan solution for these young people that was taken to the country illegally as children. I was encouraged certainly by the economy, his assessment of the economy and its growth. One thing I was discouraged about as a veteran was certainly, I think that the president, although he acknowledged the importance of veterans, the Veterans Administration has not lived up to the promise of this administration. I think that the NFL could certainly do better by contributing money to organizations like the Urban League or NAACP that certainly know how to fight those fights. And so I think there is a better venue for it, but I don't think it rises to the occasion of the presidency of the United States.
It's typical Trump. He says a bunch of things that people mostly would agree with, including myself: vocational education, opioid issue, infrastructure. The problem is his own budget that he submitted to Congress guts vocational education. There's no money for treatment and recovery for people who have a heroin addiction. He's thrown people off health care who could use either Medicaid or health care, affordable health care coverage to get the treatment that they need. So he says one thing at the podium or during the campaign, and he does something else when he governs. And so we'll have to see where he's at, in the next few days, weeks, and months.
The interesting thing is that you listen to what he says and then you've seen when he's done, and it's the exact opposite. Instead of unifying, he's been dividing. Instead of building, he's been tearing down. Instead of protecting, he's been putting people in peril. So mostly, beyond the fact that he just sort of paraded people out with their tragedies and tried to relate them to something that he was doing, it was a little bizarre. African American unemployment is still higher than anybody else, and so he takes credit for things he has no right to take credit for. He really did not speak to how racist he's been, or xenophobic he's been, or sexist he's been, or misogynist he's been. So he didn't really speak to the things that I expected him to or would want him to have addressed.